Hello and welcome to another edition of Reputation Management Trainings webinars broadcasted from our office Repsense in Vilnius. Today we will be discussing about online reputation management tactics and I would like to focus this session on how to work with online reputation in terms of tracking some important data like share of search. Hello guys, and welcome to another edition of Online Reputation Management Trainings with Repsense. Thank you for joining us today on this summer day. Hopefully, we'll have an active discussion and more people joining us. I also want to remind you that every time you register for our trainings, we will send you a video of that training after the event. So, even if you miss this at the live episode, you can go to our online YouTube channel and get the information there. So for those who are new to our webinars, I would like to remind you that every Wednesday we have the online sessions for those who are either starting with online reputation management or want to begin to get some more knowledge about online reputation. And every second Wednesday we have a training that we want to delve deeper into the topics of online reputation management and go through the more detailed data. Our webinar is being streamed live on Repsense YouTube channel, so I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to our channel, and so you can stay updated, with all the future events or revisit the content from one of these trainings after the session. And also you can find the information from these trainings at our website at www.repsense.io. Also, during the session, feel free to use the chat box to ask questions or leave the comments. Also, you can leave the comments on our YouTube channel after the video. We will go through them I will go through them individually, and I will try to respond to the ones that I can give the answer to. Okay, so depending on the number of questions we're going to get today and the discussion that we're going to end up with, this should take a little bit over an hour. So let's dive into the topic of the day without much further ado. And I want to start with some of the basic statistics that we always good to be reminded of. And in today's digital age, having this positive online reputation is crucial not only for businesses but individuals as well. And with internet being vastly accessible space, and negative information or reviews can harm your reputation in seconds. So in this presentation, I will explore the strategies of how to repair your online reputation, how to work with the data, how to understand the metrics, and also how to get rid of those negative reviews, especially if they are on Google. So, before we begin, some statistics. More than 25% of the company's market value is directly attributable to their reputation. So like a quarter of your business depends on your name and the reputation that it sends. And 4 out of 10 companies that have been dealt with a reputation blow reported a loss of brand value and revenue. Some of our clients have even reported that it's only enough to have one negative review in one of the top 5 Google search result pages to get your conversion rates drop in half, like 50%. Over 86% of the consumers are willing to pay more for services from companies with good reputation. So your better reputation will get you more of those clients who are willing to pay with you. And 4 out of 5 consumers have changed their mind about the purchase decision as a result of the negative information. So when you have a customer who's already actively searching for you and looking about you, and this negative review pops out, they might be able to change their opinion and maybe go to a competitor or buy from another side. So reputation is a big factor influencing your businesses. And that's why, and I guess that's why, we are seeing each other here today joining on that training. But I want to start with a few commonly used brand awareness metrics in the industry. This is a share of voice, market share, and share of search. And I know I haven't been talking about this lately, but I just want to, I have an objective to show you that share of voice is not the same as market share. And also to show you that share of search is one of the most exciting metrics that shows the impact of all your public relations and marketing activities that you might have been missing about. Of course, understanding the metrics and how they are calculated is the basics of working with statistics and the performance of public relations activities. I just want to use this opportunity today to talk about these three interesting metrics that we want to track in our performance campaign. So let's start with settling on what we call market share. And market share is the most commonly, high level brand awareness metric. It's also, it also means that the percentage of total shares in the industry generated by a particular company. You calculate this by taking company's sales and dividing it by the total of sales for the whole month in the market, or it can be a different period, not necessarily a month, but usually it's monthly data or quarterly. This method does have some flaws, Generally hard to get the precise market share of the company because it's hard to estimate all the private company sales. So it's only usually that goes through the key accounts and data that goes into Nielsen statistics. So something that's on the cash register, but you're not really getting the full picture here. It's also harder to distinguish who is your industry and who is not, and especially with say SaaS services. Or you can take an example with MailChimp, competing in the email marketing industry, but on the broader, it's also a marketing technology company. So where do you decide, especially if you work with a digital product, what's your industry and who are the others that outside the industry can be your potential buyers? Also with market share, we know that it's a lagging metric. It's built over a period of time, usually with some delay, through many different inputs and sales and maybe like product development data, some brand initiatives, and so on and so on. So usually that information comes a little bit later than, right on the spot when you want it. While most common marketing analytics platforms try to approximate the market share by calculating how many companies, use the product and what's the historical data. And while it's a good approximation, it doesn't translate to revenue and sales. Share of voice is another popular metric, and only enough it doesn't really mean anything, or rather it means several different things at the same time. I started out with the early days of advertising when brands focused on getting more increased on their brand awareness by buying more space in the advertising. And share of voice capitalizes on the concept of this exclusivity. By limiting the number of ad space available, there are the brands are more likely to be seen by the target audiences by buying more of the page, more of the page on the newspaper, on the magazine, or more of the time on the TV screen. So I've looked at some of the descriptions of what is share of voice, and according to Wikipedia, share of voice measures the percentage of media spending by a company compared to the total media expenditure for the product, service, or category in the market. And do you get it? Well, share of voice is a share of advertising space bought in a particular category or market for your brand. So it's also like the amount of money that's being spent. While HubSpot defines the share of voice as a marketing metric that allows you to compare brand awareness on different marketing channels against your competitors. So basically, share of voice means that whatever you want it to mean, as long as it takes into account your proportion of awareness in a specific channel and compare it to the others. And the amount of space that you take, without any measure of the impact, this is what this technology achieves. So, how do you, as a brand manager, get the most of that share of search? The newest, sexiest metric. Is it the proxy or predictor of the share of the market? Is it an alternative to share of voice, or maybe both? Or does it have more to offer than if you dig a little deeper? So I want to start with an example to show you a little bit more understanding about what share of search is. Okay, let me just close that one. That's a reminder that popped up. Sorry. Okay, so let's. So I'm using a study conducted by Kantar, and by the way, it's also a good moment now to present some sneak peek into events that are going to happen next week. Next week, together with Kantar, we are launching a new product that's going to analyze your online reputation and also combines the data collected by Kantar and also data collected by Repsense. So going through the noise, impact, and also interest in the signal model. I've described it in the previous webinars. We've used that model to build a new, very interesting report. So use this opportunity to join us next Wednesday, and you'll have we'll hear a lot more about it. So I don't want to go any further, but the next one is a big day for us, where Repsense and Kantar is joining forces. And this is one of the examples I'm showing you. So, one thing is for sure, that with greater visibility, and you are most likely to come to mind, for a potential buyer in that given category. So all those brands who are most likely to be searched for online, they they might have been generated by the interest in the media, or the communication that happened in the media. So how much brand interest am I generating with the media spend that I'm actually having? So in the example, it was clear when looking, firstly at the share of voice versus share of market, that the brand A had a problem. The media spend wasn't translating into the share of the market as expected. And what's the issue? We might, point an accusation finger at their campaign investment and assume that, they might need to restart because the campaign was not really effective. But wait. Looking at the share of voice versus share of search, we can see that in fact the campaign investments were generating interest in the brand at the expected rate. It's not the campaign that needs attention, it's the journey between the interest and the sale that's getting blocked. Point that finger into another direction and get that to work. Share of search can predict market share for some brands and categories within a few months of a lead time. For some even at a faster pace. And this is your takeaway number one of the day, that when modeled against media spend, sheer volumes are fast-moving indicator of advertising effectiveness. Pull out the underlying trend here and there. You have a dynamic model that can show the media investments affecting interest in your brand, and while you compare it over time, it will show also the effectiveness of these campaigns. So the sales data might be lagging in numbers or delay until you get it, but your active campaign that's happening now should increase the number of searches, should raise the interest, and also grow your share of search. So I want to explain you how the share of search is calculated. How do we get that into quantifiable numbers? So share of search is the volume of search queries for a brand in a proportion to all search queries for all the brands in the same category. So share of search in many ways resembles market share, whereas your market share looks at the actual sales or revenue proportion in the relation to the industry, the share of search strictly looks at the search volume and search engine as a landscape, for that data collection. In this way, share of search is a metric important for several teams, including SEO and someone who's working with demand generation, also your public relations and your marketing teams. So share of search is the most specific of the brand awareness metrics. And I cannot stress this enough. If you haven't been tracking share of search, I think it's a good day to start doing this now, especially when you track it against your competitors. Share of search is typically based on search trends and the data that's defined by the number of searches for brand receives divided by searches of all the brands within that competitor field over a certain period of time. I'll also broaden the definition a little bit to include brands representation on the search result page. For search query related to your product category, I call this, SERP visibility. It's also tied into your search visibility. When they find you, when they're looking for you, they should be able to find you. So, for example, we take the search query for the best reputation management tool. And this query represents, someone searching directly for online reputation management, maybe software, or shopping around for different options, maybe an agency who's looking for working with online reputation. But specifically, if you use a search query with a tool, it's likely that at this stage they already know, a few tools like Repsense, for example, but they may not know some other brands. Let's say, Brand 24 or someone else, the mention tool. The search result page will represent current share of voice, but it can manipulate to deliver more search results for your brand. So share of search can mean two different things. It's also your classic share of search, how much of the content but it's also your SERP visibility. So maybe even your share of SERPs. So the amount of the space you take on that search result page. So both of these require an individual audit to understand, the industry and, in which you operate and what are the other competitors in that space. But, I'll walk through a couple ways to measure share of search to help you understand how that is being done. And with share of search visibility, you can actually increase your overall real estate for the given search query. And in this case, real estate is the actual search engine result page that pops up after the query that mentions your brand is being shown, and shown hopefully in a positive light. So this is kind of takeaway number 2, with that, if you have a good search visibility and you have search results that are optimized, that will pop up in the search query, this is also a good impact to be tracked by share of search. And Repsense is doing that. It's a screenshot by one of the companies called Kilo Health, and we can see the data. First of all is the reputation index, how this reputation index is changing. Now, currently is at 49%, and it just dropped by 11%. So maybe there's some content that's happening out that is negatively affecting the reputation index. And while there's a new data collection being collected, it's a good opportunity to go into the tool and to look what is the actual content that's dragging down my reputation index. But then in this next table, we see that 5.4 thousand individual searches being done every month. And that's a stable data, which means that almost every month, 5,500 people are searching for the brand with the exact match keyword to understand what the company does, maybe to become a client and so on. So it's a very good opportunity, especially if you measure it against your social media interactions. Let's say you get 5,400 media interactions, like likes, shares, and so on. But these are the actual users that are proactively putting your brand into the search query for Google. And, are you in control of what they find? I guess it's a very good opportunity to work with, with the clients who are already looking for you. But before you can begin, working on your reputation and understanding your reputation, it's also important to understand where you are at the moment. So what's the benchmark that you're setting today? So you conduct a Google search, for your name or your business and see what comes up. And, while dwelling into the topic today, I would suggest look into those negative reviews, those social media posts, and other content that may be harmful for your reputation. So before you begin working with your online reputation, you have to understand your digital footprint and to know those pain points where a reputation should be fixed or repaired. And while going through the search results and analyzing the content, you have to add sentiment evaluation to every link, to say, okay, this link is positive and this is a negative, or maybe a neutral tag to that link. So in a way, I'm analyzing the sentiment, And sentiment analysis is also referred to as opinion mining. So I'm trying to understand the opinion about my brand for every different source in the media. So, consumers can be a big help here. Because analyzing large quantities of data, and especially if you get the use of AI-powered tools like Repsense app, it plays a big role in solving complex tasks. Because let's say I'm analyzing 20 keywords, that's like two pages, 20 queries. So every time I need to analyze 400 different pages and what they're talking about me. So what we are doing, we're employing the sentiment analysis as an approach to a natural language processing that identifies the emotional tone behind the body of a text, to give that sentiment score and to understand whether that content is in a positive or in a negative light presented. So, what is natural language processing? Natural language processing uses machine learning to reveal the structure and the meaning of the text. While natural language processing is also known as NLP, it's a branch of artificial intelligence within computer science that focuses on helping computers to understand the way humans write and speak. In short, you could say that NLP makes it possible for humans to talk to machines. This technology is not new, it's over 50 years old, but it rose into dominance in 2022, and it's expected to gain even more momentum this year, for decision intelligence, and also with the rise of AI and chatbots and ChatGPT, Bard and others, those large language models. This branch of AI enables to understand the interpreter and also, to speak the human language. With natural language processing applications, systems can analyze text and extract information about people, places, events, in a way better to understand the sentiment, what the customers are talking about, what's the topic of that conversation. And this is a popular way to determine and categorize opinions, about a product or a service or maybe an idea. And, not sure if you know, but like the newest ChatGPT model 4 by OpenAI, you can analyze up to 500 pages of content to understand the background of the task it has been given to solve. So, just, imagine how much information it can process to make a decision, So, I don't know, 500-page Blue's book takes about a week to read, and then the ChatGPT spits out an answer in seconds. Okay, so when we search for information on Google, it comes back with the result. And these results are not necessarily text only. In addition to organic search result, search engine results pages also, usually include different types of other content. And that content is page search results, for example. So these are the ads that appear at the top or the bottom of the page, marked with this ad label. Your local search results and the listings of nearby businesses and locations that match user search queries, also a popular result. Your image and video search results, they show the image and video of the content related to that search query as well. Your news results, which means all the news mentioned in the news articles that also related to the query, and shows where the article is being hosted, so who's the publisher that posted that content. Also, your social media results will rank high, so your tweets and maybe Facebook posts or Facebook pages, your LinkedIn page will be high on the search results. And that Google wants you to stay in the search result pages, so they have also enriched that content with something called featured snippets. So these are brief and direct answers to the user's question that are displayed in the top of the search result pages. Usually, they'll take the content from that Q&A page on your website and build that into, use that data to present it in the search results. And this is how your Google search results look compared to the older versions of Google. Because, it's no longer text only. Review snippets show ratings and star ratings for your product or business. Event snippets provide information about some upcoming events and, including a date, a time, and maybe a location, and also opportunity to buy a ticket with one click. The article snippet shows a brief summary of an article, including the title, the author, and the publication date. FAQ snippets provides answers to the frequently asked questions, about the topic that's being searched for. Also, how-to snippets, product snippets, local business snippets, and there's a lot of different types of information that will enrich that search result by Google. So, having diversity on these search results is very important for businesses, since you want to dominate that search result and queries for your brand or your industry related. If a person looking for information is finding only your website or not enough information, they will dig deeper. They will keep on looking. And you want to deliver those answers, instantly when they do the first search query. So, not always you want them to dig deeper, of course. So some information should be kept in a second page of a Google search result page, and most likely this is where you want to get or down rank all of that negative content that can be built about your brand or maybe affecting your reputation. Search engine optimization, SEO, can really help improve your online reputation by optimizing your digital footprint. And this includes, of course, using relevant keywords, creating quality content, and optimizing your website for search engines. By improving your SEO, you can improve your online visibility and reputation as well. Some SEO tools can, help you understand the difficulty to rank high for that particular keyword and the amount of effort it's going to take to be on the first page. A good example of SERP visibility is the SERP for Google's own product, Google Ads. It's here on the screen, and all of the results are either advertised on Google's platform or websites owned by Google, or links to their own social media profiles, or an earned media with some positive review by a reputable source, which is like a blogger who's talking about that a lot. And they also use some type of rich media, like a video that's highly engaging and will always be shown in the search results when available, because it will stimulate users to click on that video. So if you don't have a video related to your brand or your industry keywords, probably this is the third takeaway that you might take out of this presentation today. Go put it on your to-do list and build a video that will represent the keywords that you are aiming for, especially when your brand wants to be mentioned. It will get you one of those real estate points or a link in the Google search engine result page. So, and when we're talking about low-hanging fruits, what can increase my online presence and diversity in the SERPs? Claiming your social media profiles is always a good first step for your online reputation management. Make sure your business is listed on Google Maps and other relevant directories, and also ensure that that business information is accurate and up to date. So, creating that high quality content is always a good recommendation, but even if your marketing spend is limited, regularly publishing content that provides value for your target audience is another good option. This can be in the form of a blog post, maybe an infographic, a video, a social media content, and stuff like that. Social media can also be a powerful tool for online reputation repair. By using social media platforms to create positive content and engage with customers, you can showcase your strengths and also hide some of the weaker points. Maintaining an active presence on social media platforms that are relevant to your target audiences, sharing your content, engaging with the followers, using relevant hashtags. This is all you have to be doing. LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook are popular platforms that help improve your online presence, and they will rank higher on SERPs. But don't forget Quora and Trustpilot and Dig and Reddit and other platforms, like even Pinterest. This can be a very good source of information if you're an architect, for example, and you're presenting some design ideas that you want to be seen. So use all the social media networks that are relevant to your brand and the category and industry you're working in. But not necessarily all users will trust the sources that are controlled by a company. So searches for brand plus reviews combinations are very popular as well. We want to get that opinion about the company before we make a decision to become a client. And negative reviews can be damaging for your own online reputation. So what should be your action plan if you aren't always a 5-star rated business? So let me just analyze these two cases to show you an example. In both of these cases, they use the respond and resolve strategy. Responding promptly to negative reviews and offer a solution to the issue at hand. It also shows the value to your customer, and that you're willing to take the steps and improve their experience. But without the proper commitment, it might backfire. So when we look at the first review by RG, who is a local guide, and left 75 reviews and 34 photos together, and he said that no sound absorbing materials, extremely loud, party groups right next to where we dined, and so on and so on. But they liked, the pesto was good on the flatbread, and the excellent cinnamon and ice cream, and but they will never come back again to this place. So what the owner of the restaurant did, they actually responded to that okay, we're glad that you liked the ice cream and the flatbread with pesto. We are sorry that not the full experience was as good as the pesto and the ice cream. And they also said that on the second floor we have a room that if you want to be in a more quiet space, just ask for it or reserve it next time and we'll give it to you. But we're a tavern, so it's a loud and noisy place. So sorry about that, but but we do have an option if you want to sit quietly with your family and have a more intimate dinner. And in a way, this respond and resolve strategy kind of balances out that negative review. So maybe if that customer RG is going to visit the business again, maybe he's going to change the review. But even if he's not changing the review on the rating of that review, it means that a person who's reading that review already understands that business took the opportunity to respond and to offer a solution to that problem. While in the second example, I'm looking at a review that's also 1-star rated, where John, the general manager, does not care about you. He just replies to reviews to make you think he does. I called and answered email, no answer. They're only ripping you off, but they just plain don't care about you. Unethical company, unethical employees. So what happened here is a very interesting case. The user left a negative review, and while leaving a negative review, the manager automatically responded with an automated message. Thank you for your information. Thank you for sharing this with us. Your opinion is important. Contact us directly and we'll solve the problem for you. Which kind of shows, looks to the reader that the management was able to respond in time and actually took it seriously and maybe solve the problem with the customer. But the problem here is that it's an automated message that's being sent to all of the reviews. So nobody picked up the phone, nobody answered those problems that the customer had. So then it backfired with another negative review, that it's not only you who doesn't care about that business, you also don't care about the reviews you get, and you're faking those responses. So I guess it's another addition to the bad service that you try to fake those reviews. And of course, negative feedback is a good opportunity, to improve your product and your services. Also, like customer feedback, if you take it seriously, can make change, if you can address their concerns. It shows you are committed to improving your online business and you can help build trust with that audience. And while using negative feedback as a learning opportunity and strive to make it a positive change of that, this is your happy moment where you make your customers happy, and they will come back with the positive reviews, because not all of them are fake. While being transparent and authentic can help build trust with the audience, and to be honest, also you can transform those weaknesses into strengths by adding a negative feedback with a genuine desire to improve. This can help improve your online reputation and build positive online image. Also, if there are combinations of keywords, like let's say it's your brand or a service plus something like some of the keywords that are used in the negative light to rank high on these combinations, you know that you can reclaim them. You can reclaim those negative keywords, for your brand. So if there is a search, for your company and the brand that yields positive result, but adding a specific keyword reveals some negative or undesirable icons, you can aim to regain control of that term. So for example, if a search query for brand XYZ is positive, but brand for XYZ plus product A is negative, you can start incorporating that phrase of product A into your positive content and creating the association with your brand that's in a good reputation. And you know what? Who will have the biggest opportunity to rank number one on Google search result? It's you, because it's your website, your brand, and your product. So there are several ways to tackle negative search results, and theoretically, by applying different strategies, it's possible to achieve result in all of the three of these cases. But the chance of success of deleting content is always the lowest. So you can try to delete it through pressure on the publication source, with the help of the lawyers most likely, if you threaten them to take them to court. And for that you might have to have some serious lawyers with serious arguments too. But what you can do is just send a letter that's called cease and desist. And using such instruments like DMCA in the US or GDPR in EU, or the right to be forgotten. So due to that freedom of expression, these instruments can only be used with some specific situation. But although this tactic is not always recommended because there are many risks, these actions, if performed correctly, they will achieve the good result. And one of the best suggestions here is looking at the content of that publication or the comment that's being written, and to see if that violates the policy of the platform that is being presented. So if you find harmful content, you can take steps to removing by contacting the website or the platform where the content is posted and requesting that to be removed. If the content is defamatory or violates the term of service of the platform, you might be able to have it removed more easily. If necessary, also seek legal help and to get that harmful content removed. Even for the Google Maps, of course, companies like Google, they don't want to put everything into the hands of the business and to give them opportunity to delete negative results. But Google also strives to provide relevant information. So if there is a content that is not earned, or hate speech, or defamatory, or in a way impacting the business, you can get it removed by flagging it and reporting it to the platform. There's also ways of letters sending to the sources that say, okay, this is affecting my client's revenue, this is also affecting the mental state of my client, and I want this to be removed. And this can be the last resort that you want to be using. But also this can be a very important reason why that content might be removed upon your request. Of course, it happens that some of that ugly information ends up in the very popular media. So let's think Bloomberg or Forbes. And competing with them is not easy, although over a longer period of time, it can be done too. You can try to soften the information published in the source, and such steps are taken through relations with journalists and clarification of that information. maybe, update and improvement of the product, or change of that internal strategies. Of course it requires work and perseverance. It takes long time, but if done correctly, your results will give benefit for the long run. I'm using examples here of the Pope in a AI generated image with a puff jacket, or an arrest of Trump, which was another AI generated image before the Trump was actually being arrested. And they made the news, this together with AI use. This was the hit of the day. And now that content being so clicked on, and not so much information Pope has actually published lately to be on Bloomberg, this will be the top result on Bloomberg as a source for information when you search for Pope. So, you want to establish these relationships with journalists and give them opportunity to change the content or update the content. And in general, relations with the media are very important, because through them you can influence the result of at least, you know what to expect in these cases. So establish those relationships with press. It's important, because deleting information, once it's already been published, is a very difficult and specific matter. At least you want your opinion to be represented in the source, so it gives you an opportunity to defend yourself. And the third, and perhaps the best way to push the information from the source with the negative content, is to push it down. This, of course, should be followed by attempts to correct the bad information, as mentioned in the previous slides. The best, because there are several ways to do it within reach of the mature company. Bad articles can be outrank with your own assets. For example, placing an article about the situation from your own perspective and using the similar keywords, but only doing that on your website. Amplified by other mediums in your control, like Wikipedia, LinkedIn, social media, Reddit, Trustpilot, local review platforms. So wherever you can get information from. If supported by public relations activities, these actions can be even more effective. For example, sending another article to with your brand name and to the certain media. Okay, one second, guys. I have a small problem here. Let me just come back to you in 1 second. Okay, guys, I'm back, and sorry about this. Just got a notification that battery's gonna die, so we don't want to lose you. Okay, so pushing the content down. A well thought through public relations campaign can be an effective way in pushing down the unwanted information, or at least doing it temporarily. It's important to monitor your online presence reputation regularly. There are a bunch of tools that can help you keep your track of the brand mentions in the media. And for example, you can set up a Google alert for your name and business. And in this slide, I'm showing a demo of a finance company, Revolut, and how their brand mentions in the Google News category are displayed on Repsense. The main goal of monitoring your brand mentions is to be able to identify what's brewing in the media with high authority and potential for the content to be seen by thousands of viewers. There might be issues that you want to address promptly and prevent them from escalating. So having a report like this is a very good way to see what's the new content that's just being indexed by Google and has a high potential to rank in the media. Well, reputation management is a complex process that requires expertise and experience. So consider seeking professional help from a reputation management agency to help prepare your online reputation. They have the necessary tools and the strategies to help you rebuild your online reputation effectively. A good reputation is more valuable than money, said Publius Cyrus a couple thousand years ago. but this idea is still very valid today. So what I want to conclude today is that, what we covered is we talked about online reputation management. We talked about the importance of share of search as the metric that will show the effect of your public relations campaigns. And we've also covered 3 topics. How to deal with negative results, which means deleting it or getting it deleted from the platform. Also removing it by changing the content in the article, or having your own opinion with through relations with the media and the platforms that having the content about you, or down ranking it with SEO activities. And I think there are 3 ways how to do it, and choose the one that's best for you. So by building and maintaining a positive online reputation, it takes time, but it's worth in the end. And following these strategies for online reputation repair, you can improve your online image and build trust with your audience. Remember to monitor your online presence regularly and take steps to address those negative feedback promptly. With the right strategies and the mindset, you can turn negative feedback into opportunities for growth and success. If you're already using Repsense, you're on a good track. If not, booking them a call and let my colleagues help you to get on board with online reputation management. Thank you, and I will take your questions now or leave the comment in the chat box below, and I will address them after this presentation. Have a good afternoon. Bye.